think the beauty about our community in the Blue Valley School District is that we can all work together.
You're really always just looking forward to just go back to school.
Just to see the pride that people have in Blue Valley School District year after year is so much fun to watch.
You can't find this anywhere else. I am so thankful we live where we live and can have our children in the Blue Valley school systems.
Welcome back to BV Unmuted, the official podcast of Blue Valley Schools. The focus of this episode is the kindergarten experience. I'm your host, Amy Farthing, and joining me today is Indian Valley kindergarten teacher Christy Taylor, along with one of her students, Ayla Battleson, and her mom, Hannah. Welcome, ladies, and thanks for joining us.
Hi. Hello, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here.
Well, elementary schools across the district welcomed incoming kindergarten students, the graduating class of 2036, can you believe it, in mid-April for Kindergarten Roundup. And we all know that's when families come to kind of experience kindergarten. If you guys don't mind, we'll start off by talking a little bit about that. Christy, maybe you can start by telling us about the teacher perspective of this day.
Kindergarten Roundup is such an exciting day because it's so fun to see these little 4-year-olds and some 5-year-olds coming into a new environment that's going to be their school. And we want to make it exciting for them. We want them to want to come back, and we have lots of activities and fun things planned. The day is where parents can kind of watch their child with other kindergartners for a little while, and then we can watch, their child play and interact with others. And it's just a really enlightening moment for everybody to kind of see what our expectations are for next year and what parents can kind of expect from us.
Hannah, do you mind sharing for the listeners out there, if you can think back and share about the emotions of that day or things you remember from Kindergarten Roundup?
I remember just being a vulnerable experience because, especially with my oldest, she seems so little, and you just you go from a preschool experience to a whole big school where you have a big age range. And so I think what helped me so much with Kindergarten Roundup is to be present with my kindergartners, and then also for them to get to experience the school and the wonderful teachers. It did bring a sense of peace and just a little bit more preparation into what's coming in the fall.
What can families do to prepare over the summer for the first day of kindergarten? Christy?
We're all going to be nervous. We're all going to be anxious. We're all going to have little worms in our stomach. But the best thing parents can do is basically over the summer, just work on things like self-management, like being able to open a snack bag, being able to maybe button a jacket, being able to listen, following directions, like multi-step directions at home. Be excited about, what's happening and even interacting and asking questions. Just those simple little things will make the kindergarten experience just that much easier at the beginning of the year.
You've done this several times now with your kids at your house. Can you offer any advice for families that might be doing this for the first time?
There's an Instagram influencer that I follow, and she said the exact same thing. I think we parents can get so focused on, they have to make sure their handwriting is great and they know all their letters, and we can get so focused on those type of things when really, exactly what Christy said, it's like putting our backpack on and making sure we can zip and unzip the backpack, and can I open my snack, and do I know where my snack is? And I think those kind of things hold so much more value because we have such wonderful teachers like Christy to help us, takes the pressure off of us as parents to feel like we have to prepare our kids in some way instead of just doing those really, what seem like simple basic things, but are actually can be nerve-wracking for our kiddos.
What does the first week of school look like or feel like?
It's exhausting, to be honest, because, you have these little ones who have not gone to school all day, 5 days a week. And, we're coming off summer break, and we haven't really had a schedule as teachers as well. And so the first week is laid back. It's kind of like a boot camp, we call it, in the sense of it's not going to be rigorous. It's not going to be intense. It's a big learning method for all of us. We do everything together from, lining up, sitting on the floor, answering questions, going through all the very, very basics of how to do school. And that's our job as teachers. Our job is to teach kindergartners how to do school. It's not their parents' job. It's their job to come here to be happy, ready for school, have a smile on their face, ready to learn. And it's our job then to go, like Hannah said, with the academic part and how to do school. And so the first week is full of Play-Doh and glitter and all those fun things. And then you slowly acclimate and roll into more difficult things as the year goes on.
Ayla, do you remember the first days of school in kindergarten?
Kind of.
Is there anything that stands out that you did?
Well,
Remember meeting some of your friends?
yeah.
I would even say, too, as parents, that first week, or even first few weeks, by the time they get to the end of the week, our family does a movie night, really relaxing. We're trying to block off those evenings because it's a big adjustment to be in school all day, and their brains are picking up so much and have so many new experiences and new things that they're trying to learn. So as a parent, I think having grace for those kiddos to really give them space to decompress. And I've read too, and we've experienced this, where you'll have more meltdowns or more maybe acting out behaviors at home because they're working so hard to keep it together at school and to hold it all together for the teachers, and they want to be on their best behavior. So I think being that safe space at home is really important as well.
And I also think, too, that you forget that, anytime you take even an adult and put them in a new setting where they don't know anybody, you're uncomfortable, you don't know who to go to, you don't know what to, who to play with, what to do. And especially when you're 4 and 5, you don't have those skills yet to really initiate a lot of play. And, will you be my friend? And a lot of times we have friends coming here that have never been in contact with any of these other kindergartners. And it's really scary. And you have a job as a teacher to develop play and to get them excited about school, but also making them feel safe, that it's going to be okay to take a chance to play with somebody different and new, because they may end up being your best friend forever.
You bring up a good point. There are probably families out there who worry that, what if my child's not ready or not prepared, or they don't have some skills maybe that they wish they had. Can you talk about that a little bit? You've been a kindergarten teacher for a long time, so.
Right. You know that everybody in this room has different skills. Some are at the beginning level of kindergarten, where that's totally developmentally appropriate, and some, for some reason, they have siblings, or they hang around children that are older and they maybe are more developed in some way. Everybody brings a special light to kindergarten, and some have strengths, some have weaknesses. But the thing is that we take them in Blue Valley wherever they are, and we help them shine with what they're interested in, what they're good at, maybe what they're weak at, to make it maybe become one of their strengths. I have a little boy that was just able to swing for the first time this week. He's worked on it all year long, and again, that's not necessarily the academic piece, but to him it was a self-esteem booster. And those are what we do in kindergarten, is we want kids to come to school with, of course, maybe writing their name or being able to maybe count to 10, but we take them no matter where they are. Like Miss Ayla, she's working on writing her own book right now. And she and I are working on the copyright and where it's printed. And she's the author, and we're going to write a little excerpt on the back of her book about her being the author and her likes and what she likes, like you see in a typical book. And so I have others who are interested in what Ayla's doing and wanting to work up to that. And I have others who are really not interested in that. So we take kids wherever they are and help them explore the love of learning.
We know that kindergarten learners are probably not going to focus on the same activity for a long, sustained amount of time when they come. So can you talk about what kinds of things they would do, maybe during a typical kindergarten day or maybe even a week? What kinds of things will they do?
Well, typically in kindergarten, we change activities every 15 minutes. That's a lot of change within one day. So whenever you think you're going to be sick, you really don't want to be sick, because there's a lot of things you have to prepare for. I'm a big believer in play. I think play is so important at this level, and I learned so much as a teacher from watching them play. And so in my classroom, they play for the first 20 minutes every day, and then from there we go on to our strong academics in the morning, which is like math and reading, because they're awake and they're alert and they're more tuned into listening and answering questions. And then slowly through our day, we go to lunch, and we have our recess time and our snacks time. And the afternoon is kind of our laid back time more. It's structured, but it's more like science and social studies, library, counselor, those kinds of things to kind of give everybody a break. Center-based activities where they can kind of work on their own independently without having a teacher to, have them, follow the typical like black and white rules of a lesson. Then they have music, and they have PE, and they have Spanish, and they have art, and we have another recess and snack. So overall, the day is a very structured day, but a very fun, learning, positive environment where I think they have a chance to shine and learn at the same time without really realizing they're learning.
Ayla, do you have favorite parts of the kindergarten schedule?
Well, probably because Mrs. Taylor lets me have a first grade book. She lets us play in the morning. There's this bead thing where you can use a pen and pop the beads up, and once you finish it, you can put your hand on it, and it's really fun.
Hannah, were you nervous about sending your child to a full day of school? And you've obviously done this several times. Can you share any experience that maybe made you feel better about that? Maybe you weren't nervous. I don't know.
It's interesting with my oldest, it was right at the point where the district switched from half day to the full day. I had gone in with this mentality of half day of school, and okay, we can do that. And so I was nervous about just her energy level throughout the whole day. But, with my second child and then with Ayla, I love IVE, and I love the atmosphere here, and getting to know Mrs. Taylor this year has just been, I don't feel nervous now, of course, because it's like I feel so safe knowing that Mrs. Taylor is there for Ayla, and that just the way that she has set up her classroom. But yeah, I do think even just you worry as a parent about if there's going to be the social interactions, and how is my kid going to handle those things, or just any of those things. Like, it feels like a big deal. How are they going to walk through the cafeteria lunch line, and are they going to get enough food? And I think as a parent, there's just so many of those little things throughout the day that it's a big exercise in trust to entrust this precious child to somebody else for the whole day.
How are all those challenges and worries handled, Christy?
Being a mom myself, I had those exact same thoughts that Hannah had. And my philosophy in life is my classroom is a birthday party every day. I want to be that classroom where these kids leave every day and go, wow, that was so great. I want to come back again tomorrow. And I know that sounds maybe kind of silly, but to me, it's like I want that day to be safe. I want it to be secure. I want it to be a happy day. And so when it comes to lunch, the kindergarten teachers, we take them through every single day. We do not leave them until we know they're seated and they're happy. That gives us a lot of 15-minute lunch, but that's okay. That's what we do. When it comes to recess, like playing by themselves, why are they playing by themselves? We're always on monitor, always watching. So as a mommy myself, I wouldn't want my child, to be sad or playing by themselves. Just every situation that I think about that I would be worrying about my child, I try to take that and see if I can figure out what the problem is in the classroom, or how I can help to make the day smoother. Everything is just about patience and love, and knowing that they're little, they're only 5. My job is to teach them how to do school.
Hannah, do you have any habits or routines at your house that have helped make school a better experience or a more fun experience?
Oh, the first one that comes to mind is getting ready the night before. I just cannot champion that enough. We look at the lunch menu the night before and decide, are they buying? Are they taking their lunch? We fill up water bottles. We pack our snack. We go through the folders. We lay out clothes. We have an actual checklist in our home, and each kid has to check off those things, because the morning is already so full, and things do come up in the morning. And so being prepared the night before helps so much to make our morning smoother. We're less grouchy with each other. We're just more at ease. So that way, when we send our kiddos to school, they're just that much more ready to walk in the doors.
Ayla, how would you describe your kindergarten classroom?
Really great, because Mrs. Taylor is really nice, but every single time there's like a new holiday or a new season coming up, Mrs. Taylor always has us do like this decoration or like this like craft to make a room look like it's actually happening.
Aw. So, Christy, if you, at the end of the year, what do you hope your students remember from their kindergarten experience?
I hope that they look back and think, that was so fun. I've learned so much. I didn't really know I was learning. It was so fun and exciting and different. I wanted them to realize that I'm a friend and a teacher forever. And I always say my last words always are, once you're my kid, you're always my kid. And I always ask them to come back and see me and know that my door is always welcome and open to them. And the end of the year is always my saddest part of the year. It really is. Even though I've taught for so long, I feel so connected. I really want them just to walk out with confidence that they're ready for first grade, and they're ready to take on whatever that should be. And we have a term in our room called being a bubblegum brain. Always have your brain open to learning, and don't be a brick brain. And I want them to remember that when they go to first grade, that they can do all they want to do.
Love that. Hannah, if you had the opportunity to tell everybody how kindergarten has changed since you were a learner to watching your kids learn, what are there thoughts that you have about that?
I grew up in the Blue Valley School District, so I was in kindergarten here in Blue Valley, and I do think that that's something that I think Christy does so well, and we know that early elementary kiddos learn so much through play, and so I think that has changed some in how that looks. And yet I do think that Ayla comes home, and you can hear her even talking about it today, that the play is an important part, right? And we know that kids can work out they have critical thinking, they have social interactions that they're learning about, it's kind of where they apply a lot of their learning. And so I think that is something that has changed. Obviously the technology has changed quite a bit from when I was in elementary school and in kindergarten.
I see a big difference teaching, now going into my 39th year of teaching almost. I've seen such a change in kindergarten. We did writing, we did all the same things we do now, but now it's basically the new first grade. I mean, it really is in the sense of what the expectations are for us as educators to give our kindergartners a very productive learning year. I mean, kindergartners are sponges. They're going to learn no matter what. But I realized that my curriculum and my expectations of what I need to do have changed so much, and they're more intense, they're more rigid. But again, I take what I need to teach, but handle it in a way that I think I can do both the learning part and the fun part all together, even though I think it is much more dramatic than it was when I first started. Ayla, can you think of anything that what you're really proud of about our classroom or what we're working on? Or
Well, I am very curious, and when Mrs. Taylor adds a new toy into classroom, I'm curious of what it can do and how it works and how everything goes together, and yeah, that's how I get good at puzzles.
Can you tell us an example? What's something that she's added?
It's like an orange holder thing, and there are glass pictures, and you put it inside, and there's a book, and you have to follow the book to make instruction. And then once you figure that part out, then you make a really cool picture. Mrs. Taylor let me play with that first because she knows I'm always curious about how things work.
I do think that is one thing that as a teacher I probably do more than necessary, but I do like to change up the room. I do like to bring in new activities and take old ones out because I think sometimes we kind of get set in our ways and playing with certain friends or always doing the same things. And so I'm always rotating things out and changing things so that I think our brain works differently, the activities are different. I'm always trying to see if I can challenge them with new ways of finding to play with something they've never seen before.
Are you starting to feel ready for first grade, Ayla?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're pretty excited. I was thinking about advice that I've given to as a teacher and also as a friend or a parent, just for those who are coming into kindergarten and, it's their first kiddo, just not being afraid to advocate for your child, to really view your child's teacher as a partner and that you're working on this together and just the communication. I used to tell parents when I was a teacher, it's like, I can't know everything, I can't read minds, and so I just would encourage parents just to make sure that you're really in high communication with your child's teacher. And there's so many worries that we have as parents of how are they going to do when a kiddo is struggling in a certain area. But when parents see themselves as advocates, they're really there for their child and working together, that's when we are going to see kids succeed the most.
And I do feel that sometimes anxiety can happen when school is coming closer and closer right now. Our friends were here when we started with kindergarten roundup. They want to start school right now. They're disappointed they have to leave and, it's ready to start. But as it starts getting closer and they start realizing the school really is coming, we do offer here at Indian Valley, I'm sure throughout the district, that we will do a virtual tour of our classroom. So parents get on the computer. I've done that before, once a week, and let them kind of walk around the classroom virtually and see what it's going to be like. Just to kind of take that stress off. This is where you're going to be. This is going to be a classroom. So we can always do early walkthroughs before the big day if that just takes away that stress and that anxiety.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate you guys for coming along as we talk about kindergarten experience on BV Unmuted.
Thank you for listening to BV Unmuted, the official podcast of Blue Valley Schools.